The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome back to Last Call, where tonight we are going to talk toys, YouTubery, globetrotting, and Vegemite with a real Australian hero and, frankly, just an outright hero of mine, Tony Roberts of Analog Toys. Yes, this is another of those laugh at Troy as he geeks out over one of his favorite YouTubers' streams and drinks. So it should get funnier for you as the stream progresses. We'll see. So top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and be sure to subscribe to Analog Toys, link in the description. The Canarble Wagon rolls right after we take care of some business. Tonight, I want to thank David Pensack for buying me my drink for the night. He thought it was so sad that I had gone so long without releasing the Kraken. So a couple of weeks back, he decided to rectify that situation. Thank you so much, David. Tonight's song is dedicated to you and in honor of our most likely primary topic of the evening. In Lester, San Jose, I haven't forgotten I owe you a song from the wine you gifted Netter and me for our anniversary. That's coming up next week. And if anyone else would like to buy me a drink and request a song, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Grazie e salute.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken! The Kraken!
Why is the rum always gone?
I guess I'm already a little bit too far into the Kraken. The Kraken isn't gone. Thank you, David Pensack. And this one's for you. And that link will be in the chat after I finish my song. Toyland, Toyland, little girl and boyland. When you dwell within it, you are ever happy there. Toyland, Toyland, mystical merry Toyland. Once you pass its borders, you can never return again. Thanks, David. Toyland, mystical merry toyland. Once you pass its borders, you can never return again. I did warn Tony in advance, so he wasn't wondering what the heck's going on. And for those of you that stuck through the song, thank you so much. Those of you that are just arriving, you're better off.
I've heard it 4 times already.
That's true. You hear me practice. It's absolutely true. There we go. Okay. Let's switch to headphones, and we will bring in the crowd. Not gonna stand on preambles. Let's just go right around the horn. Agent Boomer, how you doing tonight, my friend and my designated driver? What are you sipping on?
I have a water.
Because you are the designated driver. I understand.
Well, I have to get up in the morning too.
So it's probably best that we do stick to our 2-hour schedule. Very, very good.
Fine, go as long as you need.
And Netter, you're looking great tonight. Looks like a little bit of augmentation there, though. What's going on, and how you doing, and what you sipping on? As if I didn't know.
Well, it's Friday, so great end of the week. Feeling great. And I am drinking a clear American blackberry lemonade water.
There you go. There you go. Yep, she's the bouncer, so you better be nice to her, folks. She'll kick you out of here. And my special guest, Captain Australia himself, Tony Roberts of Analog Toys. I wasn't just blowing smoke when I was saying, real YouTube hero of mine. How are you doing, my friend, and what are you sipping on?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm doing okay. I had a late night and a lot to drink. I stayed up very, very late in a furious edit trying to get my latest video done. I'm drinking a cup of proper strong Yorkshire tea, made the way I make it, which is with... So they're already proper strong tea bags, and I use 2 tea bags.
Yeah, you're the last half of that sentence you just kind of warbled out. You were at the end of a tunnel there. Something happened there. Yeah. Nope, you're fine now. Don't know what it was. Nope, you're good now. You're good now. Awesome.
I'm drinking proper strong Yorkshire tea.
That's it. That's it. You were really getting into it. I understand. And you're still kind of waking up. You wouldn't say you're hungover, would you? Because you can handle it better than that, right?
Yeah, I'm not hungover, no.
Fair enough. Okay, so although I know that everyone in my chat is pretty much already familiar with you, let's go through and introduce you to them. So we're going to start out with PJ of Orville Nation. He may not still be here, but he was here 2 hours early, and he wanted to say hi. PJ, you're awesome. He's been a big encouragement to me. He's been very much about helping me grow my channel. I super appreciate him. And of course, you know Tim Hayes.
I know Tim. Me and Tim Hayes were born on the same day of the same year.
Wow, that is interesting. I did not know that. That is really cool. Tim Hayes is in every chat that I'm in. He's well, that's what this community is really like. That's what I love about it. Matanui, always super encouraging. How you doing, Matanui? Good to see you. David Pensek, the patron of the drink. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for buying me this drink. Let's see. And then there's this last call guy in here, saying hi to everybody. JPRPH1, good to see you, my friend. Chronically Online, glad I get to catch this live, well, for at least the first hour. Well, amen. Glad you're here. Of course, you can always catch the other half of it on the rewatch if you choose to. Then there's this beautiful lady. I love you too, Netter. Good to see you. And let's see. Give me a second here. Don't want to miss anyone. Of course, my buddy Big Al of Big Al Presents. Have a great stream. Yep, I saw your recent review of. Believe it or not, I was a little surprised. It was Fury Road, Mad Max. I didn't know you had only just seen that, but great review. I have not seen it myself, but now based on your review, maybe I will check it out. That does.
I recommend that film.
Do you? Okay, yeah. Good. Gosh, I mean, I might have to go back and watch the other, 2 or 3 films, because it's been so long.
No, I mean, it stands on its own. I mean, if you had seen the others, it works, but it also works. It's one of those.
Okay, that's fair. Let's see here. Jesse, hello there. Welcome. So glad you're here. Oh, Sir Torin. Don't know if you were here for the song, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Channeled a lot of my Peter Pan days when I played Jonathan Darling, because the song is very similar, I felt. Let me know what you thought. My brother in theatric performance. Good evening, Admiral. Kapla Edge Nuknesh. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. And Age of Boomer, that guy, he's always here. Lester San Jose, hope you heard. I'll have a song for you next week, buddy. Thank you so much for being here. I
almost want to say, I've got no place else to go.
I've got nowhere else to go. yeah, right. Let's see here. Godzilla Master 84. Good evening, everyone. Hope I'm not. No, you're never too late. This is YouTube. Even if you are, and you miss it live, you can always catch it Memorex. For those of you that get that reference.
I do.
Let's go, Brandon! Brandon Diecast, hello, good to see you. Oh, Boomer, speaking of Brandon, did you see that Brandon Herrera's running for Congress in Texas?
No.
The AK guy. Oh, you know who we're talking about here.
I watch his channel, yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's got a
couple others.
You sexy YouTube mother lovers. Well, I went back and watched some of his old ones. It wasn't always mother lovers. He said it the full way, and I'm like, good on you, mate, but I understand why you changed it. But he also said, you may think that because I'm running for Congress, I'm going to tone down the language. Yeah, that's not happening. I'm like, well, right on. This is why Netter and I want to move to Texas. Now we know approximately where we want to move to as well. Let's see here.
Texas. Is Australia like Texas?
Well, Texas is Australia is so big too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's like
Texas, I guess when he asks, I guess he's asking about Perth.
I don't think Perth would be like Dallas or anything like that, but kind of where I live would be like, rural Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because y'all had cowboys too out there, right?
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All around where I live is cattle stations. Cattle stations everywhere. So
hey, when you were talking about and when you guys were dealing with those fires that you were having, how close was that to you?
That was on the other side of the country, but I knew some people over there, and that. So, yeah, that was on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah, fair enough. Deleted scenes, one of my favorite Blue Wrenches. Thanks so much for being here, buddy. And boy, if I miss anybody, please just drop another comment and say hi. It's certainly not my intention, but just wanted to make sure that I get you in front of Tony so he sees you and knows that you're here for him. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, I am a huge fan. I've been watching Lurking whatever for such a long time. Only just joined your Patreon because I only just realized, you never bring it up, and you brought it up because I don't know, you were having a contest or something like that, and I was like, oh, he's got a Patreon, I should be doing that, it's whatever. But man, how long have you been doing the YouTube thing now?
The channel had its 7th birthday last month.
Oh, happy anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. So July 26th. I always forget the actual day. My moderator, Tim Ward, always reminds me.
Right.
Because the channel was actually existed since 2011. But I wasn't... Back in 2011, I made a documentary about Action Man, which I was selling on DVD. So I set up a YouTube channel just to put the trailer on to promote the documentary. So if you look at the About tab on the channel page, it says the channel's been around since 2011. But I didn't actually start doing YouTube properly until July 2016. So the first video was basically a channel trailer, kind of setting the landscape of what I planned the channel to become. So the day that me and Tim always say the day that video was posted, I think it's the 21st or 22nd of July 2016. That was the birth of Analog Toys.
Yeah. And so how do you feel that is your channel still what you imagined it to be back in 2016, or do you feel it's like going a whole different route?
I wouldn't say it's going a whole different route, but there's a lot of stuff I never expected from when I first began. You know, I didn't think I would ever talk about modern toys very much, because I'm very much a vintage collector. And
true, and in fairness, you don't a lot. You do sometimes, but rarely.
But I did co-create another very popular podcast.
We'll definitely dig into that big time in a little bit, but that's absolutely true. And you, like Michael, are Michael French, Retro Blasting, of course. My regulars know that. Very much supporters of like Stan Solo and some of the other boutique creators out there putting out, custom action figures and so forth. So I guess you can kind of think of that as new action figures in a way.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. You are definitely, when you say analog toys, we all know what you mean by analog. It's just retro blasting analog toys. It's that similar kind of concept.
Yeah. So I returned to Australia after several years overseas. I returned to Australia in 2012.
Right.
I brought my wife, who at the time was my fiance, brought her over from Thailand, and we
You just celebrated your anniversary, in fact.
Last week, the 10th of August. Our 11th wedding anniversary. So
happy anniversary! Netter and I just celebrated 31 years, August 3rd.
Wow! I hope we make it to. I hope we make it to 31. I'm sure we will.
If you're married as long as you are, given the hobby you have, if she's still with you, I think you're going the distance, no problem, my friend. I always say the joke is that Netter is my enabler. She really is. We'll be watching one of your videos, or even more likely, we'll be watching Bosk's Bounty, because he talks about the new toys.
Yep.
And I'll be sitting there watching, and she'll go, "Do you have that?" And I'll be like, "No, that's not something I'm interested in. That's okay. Don't worry about it." Because she'll buy the damn thing. She really will. She's awesome. Or I'll go, "Oh, I missed out on that." And she'll go, clickety, 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 click. "I can get it for $25. And I'll sit there and go, she'll go, "I'm getting it." That's Netter. So,
yep.
So if you've got a wife that puts up with, at least, or definitely supports the crazy, she's a keeper. No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
May I ask our guests something, or bring something?
No. Go ahead.
Is that Hero Quest in the bottom corner there?
Yes, it is.
I remember.
Vintage, original, or that new one that they did?
No, it's the original. So this was a gift from a supporter of the channel. I want to say it was Wesley Hendricks who sent me this. Apologies if I got that wrong, because it was several years ago. I've talked about Hero Quest a lot because I didn't really stop playing with toys until I was, I wasn't telling people I was still playing with toys, but I kept playing with toys till like 12, almost 13. And then I became a collector at the age of 16. In those intervening years, I was doing a lot of Tamiya model kits. I was doing a lot of like World War II tanks. But also during that period, I was playing Hero Quest. So that, you know, I've never really felt as though I've been out of the toy game ever since I first started playing with them as a kid. And that short sort of stopgap in the teens where we're not supposed to play with toys.
Right.
I was playing with Hero Quest, and I've talked about it on the streams. And Wesley sent me this because I said I wanted to make a video about Hero Quest, and it's been sitting on my list of.
I know how that goes.
To do for about. I want to say he sent me that like 4 years ago, and I still haven't done the video yet. But yes, that is an original Hero Quest board game from was it the late 80s or very early 90s? Yeah,
I know that in I have my own story on that. It was my big Christmas item I requested in 1989, and I got it for Christmas. Unfortunately, that was also, or maybe not unfortunate, but that was also the year we got a Nintendo. So of course, you know the end of that story. Plus, I couldn't get my friends to play Hero Quest. They were all into the games. They didn't want to play Hero Quest. So
yeah.
And I just got a Nintendo when I was getting into Nintendo games. So, but I did have a Hero Quest. It was really cool. It was like almost like a 3D version of D&D, right? But I'm not an expert. Like, you had all the pieces and stuff. Oh, here we go. What's the side face? Right?
No. I was agreeing with you. I was listening to you two talking about this. I'm like, I feel like there was something I missed out on as I was, you know, because I got into Dungeons and Dragons as I was going into a little bit a little bit in grade school, a little bit in high school, and then hard in college. And I missed the the Hero Quest thing, you know. And I was like, I look back at it and I'm like, I probably would have really dug that, you know. And I think I kind of missed out on it, but.
Yeah, it had these small-scale figurines, you know. There was a barbarian, an orc, a dwarf, an elf, a wizard. And because I was already into model making,
sure,
and I like that fantasy genre as well. You know, as a kid, I was a huge fan of films like Hawk the Slayer and Conan and that kind of thing. So when
what's the best in life? No, that's him. He's like, his ears pick up.
Falcons.
The
wind at my back or something.
Okay, guys, Lady Hawk. Anyone remember Lady Hawk?
Oh, I love Lady Hawk.
We got to do a rewatch of that, Boomer. Absolutely, no doubt. Sorry, Tony. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
You know, with the little figure, I had the enjoyment of both playing the game, but also the figures were plastic, and I think they were just grey plastic. So I would paint them because I did model making as well. So I painted up all my figures. So a bunch of the figures that are actually in this set have already been painted. That's probably what's putting me off doing the video. Is the paint job? It's not bad. It's not great. I feel as though I would have to go through and paint all of the figures before I could.
I feel like that's part of the video, right? Just saying, this is how they came. This is where I'm at on it. Other people have done extravagant things. You know, it's part of the video. Were those plastic pieces? Did they come on like the little trees, and you had to break them off the trees and put them on bases?
Yeah.
And there was like this troll who was like in this position and stuff like that.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's interesting. There are two. There's this company or storefront, or I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, it's a company. American Science and Surplus. There's two of their outlets here in the Chicagoland area. They carry odds and ends, like surplus stuff from fabrication, a lot of military surplus, stuff like that, and leftover stuff from like, and in this particular instance, there were these bins of these plastic, and I'm pretty sure that they were Hero Quest. There were like trolls and goblins and, these trays and trays of these, and I just bought them up because they were cheap. And I bought them up and painted them to make armies for Dungeons and Dragons. I probably did play with these pieces and didn't. So now I'm going to have to look forward to your video so I can see if, I had those,
I'm going to have to get off my butt and make that video one day because I really enjoyed Hero Quest for a few years there in my teens.
I think we all, as YouTubers have a backlog of videos that we're trying to do. Speaking of which, comment from Michael from Retro Blasting. Wow. You captured Tony Roberts for a stream. Well done. No, I wanted to get Tony on for the longest time, but just like you, my friend, I was intimidated and was afraid to reach out to him. And he actually said on a live stream in response to one of my super chats, he said, Troy, if you ever want me on your stream, I'll come on. And I said, how about next week? And here he is, you know?
Yeah, that was last Friday. I did a live
yes, it
stream
was.
last Friday because my 3POA co-hosts, they were away at PowerCon for the weekend, so I thought I'd do a live stream, and here we are.
Oh, Dark Tower. Do you remember that one?
I don't know.
Okay. Boomer, do you remember it?
My brother had it. It's great fun. I wish they would
It
figure
is.
out a way to reproduce that game. It was brilliant.
Is that the one that I got you?
More
Yes,
of a board
and I
game
need
than
to
a
get
role-playing game.
I need to get the tower piece repaired.
Yeah.
And there are places online that will do it for you. It is brilliant. It's a board game with this tower in the middle that's electronic, and it's hard to describe. It's bloody brilliant. It really is.
When I did the clip for that video that we talked about, it was one of the highest rated videos I had on Rumble. Did you know that? That did well on Rumble. I don't know what was with Rumble, and there was a Love the Dark Tower clip, but
No kidding. That's pretty awesome. And Jesse, I don't know if I said hi to you earlier, but especially because now I'm a good half hour into this stream and I'm feeling fuzzy, which is good. It's been a long week. It's been a tough week, so I've earned getting pissed, and that's my intent tonight.
I think
That's my intent.
I think Vincent Price did the voiceover on the commercial for Dark Tower. He did
Oh, the commercials! You're right. I think you're absolutely right. That was some cool stuff. Fluff Chicken Productions, welcome. So glad you're here. Thanks for being here. You're very, very encouraging. So I'm going to be all over the board. We're if there's a topic you want to stop me on and make sure I stay on target, you feel free. But so you've been kind of a globetrotter. You started out in England as a young boy. How old were you when you moved to Australia?
I was 11 years old when we moved to Australia. So my dad always had this, he didn't like the cold weather and the rain in England. He was in the Navy before I was born. So he had traveled quite a lot.
Sure.
In the Navy. I think he'd been around the world twice with the Navy. So he
Did he get the tattoo when he crossed the equator or whatever it was?
My dad does not have a single tattoo. No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
My
My dad was in the Navy too, and he didn't get a tattoo. So
he was an officer. I think it's more like the enlisted Navy men who get the tattoos, not the officers. So
my dad was definitely enlisted. He was a barber. He was a barber on the ship, and they trained him in gunnery, but he was mostly just the barber.
Yeah, no, my dad was like a chief engineer. So, but yeah, he'd traveled the world, and he left the Navy when he met my mum, and then a year or so later I was born, and he always had this dream of going to live in another country, in a better place. And I can remember it was probably 3 years before we actually moved to Australia is when my parents were starting to talk about it, because at that time in the 1980s in the UK, probably the most popular television program was Neighbours, the Australian soap opera.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
With, Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan and all of that, and our pop music, I blame Kylie Minogue, and then Crocodile Dundee, the movie came out, and at that time
I didn't realize that would have such an impact in England. That's interesting.
It really did in England, because even before Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan had a sketch show on Australian TV.
Right? Yes, he did. Yeah.
Everyone had these. It was a really big thing in Australia at the time. Everyone had these dreams of going and living in Australia. So yeah, my dad applied to become a resident. It was based, you had to go through all this paperwork. I remember it took about 2 years, and when it finally got approved, we moved to Australia at just a couple of months after I turned 11 years old.
There you go. And kind of on cue, Guten Tag, Percival. Welcome. Yeah, the reason that strikes a chord with me, when I was in preschool, I had my preschool teacher was German, and she taught us. German like she emigrated from Germany, and she taught us German. It was a lot of fun. Fond memory of my childhood. But yeah, no, that's incredibly interesting. I guess I see. I know Michael knows this. Certainly all my other listeners know this. I'm a huge Anglophile. So I was laughing so hard last week when you said something about being with your wife or your anniversary or something, and you got pissed, and you felt you had to explain to the American audience, well, when I say pissed, I meant drunk, not angry. And I'm like, I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, because in America, if you say, I got pissed, it's like you got angry.
Yeah.
To an Englishman or an Australian, it means you got drunk. So.
It's good. It's good that you know that, because. But I think, especially in this internet age, with cable and BBC America and stuff like that, I think Americans are starting to get more and more hip to the lingo. But before there was any of that, I was a huge Anglophile. Doctor Who. There was a lot of ITV and BBC that I watched on public television over here. There was a miniseries called The Tripods that I loved. Blake Seven, So it worked its way into my lexicon, and I didn't give a damn. Schedule, issue. And when kids at school would be like, why do you pronounce it that way? That's the British way. And if they hadn't forgotten to, copyright their language, we'd be paying them astronomical amounts in royalties. So damn it, I'm going to speak the Queen's English, Yeah. I said, and think about it. How do you spell that word? ISSUE. Where's the H? Why you slurring like you're pissed? And then I had to explain piss to them. So, I mean... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know Michael knows what I mean, but yeah. So sometimes in my stream I try to tone it down, but you know what? Schedule. You don't go by a shul schedule, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So no, and that's what I always told people. British pronunciation. They pronounce it the way it's spelled. The reason you have so much problem in America with spelling is because you don't pronounce it the way it's spelled. But then again, Netter's mom was British, so she learned all of her spelling in the British spelling. So like armor, ARMOUR.
Color.
Color, COLOUR. And she would get marked wrong in school. And she'd be like, no. My mom's British. She taught me how to spell.
Yeah, when I write scripts for
spelling.
my videos, I use Google Docs, because Google Docs, it doesn't matter what computer I'm on, I can log in, and as soon as I start writing a script, and I'll type the word, say, favorite, and I do VOUR.
FAVOURIT. Right.
Spell checker comes up in red saying I've spelt it wrong, and then I have to go in and every time I have to manually change the language to
Tony. I don't know if you're using Windows 10 or 11, but I know for sure in Windows 10 you can choose both American and British spellings, and it'll recognize both. That's what I did on.
Yeah, no, I'm on an Apple Mac, and this is in Google Docs.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's up to Boomer. He knows the I whatevers.
Said it once, so it does it all the time. But no, I have to, every time I start a new document, I have to go in and change it.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So really, you spent most of your formative years in Australia.
So I was in Australia. So I did my final year of what we call primary school, and then I did all of my high school here. I did 4 years in the Australian Army, and then probably about another 2 years after leaving the Army, I was back in Perth doing odd jobs. I was driving a forklift a lot. I worked at Coca-Cola, and I worked at a sugar company, and then at the age of 23, I kind of went traveling and ended up back in the UK. I was in the UK for about 7 years, and then And then in 2007, I started working. I'd left the army. I started working in Iraq, and I was basically I was in Iraq 9 months a year and living in Thailand on my time off, which is where I met my wife. So, yeah.
I meant to ask you about that. The time that you were in Iraq. About what time period was that?
2007 to 2011. I was there.
Okay. I guess because I don't know this for sure, and it doesn't really matter. I always assumed I was a bit older than you, and some buddies of mine that I used to work with that were my contemporaries had served in Gulf War I, and I guess I thought maybe you might have served around that time, but I guess
no.
not.
I joined the Australian Army when I left school in 1994, so I sort of missed Gulf War I. So when I say I was in Iraq 2007 to 2011, that's after I left the military and was doing private security work. I actually had been to Iraq before that with the army as well.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. I had a buddy. He was a jarhead, and he served in the Gulf, and he got released after a bad injury that had nothing to do with combat. He was just on training maneuvers, and he busted up his knees, and they had to release him. And he was always embarrassed about that. He's like, "Yeah, I'm pulling down the benefits," and he's like, "And I feel like I didn't really do my job." I'm like, "Dude, you went to do your job and you got injured. You're owed that. You know, you're owed whatever benefits you're getting. Absolutely."
I've got so many friends who are injured parachuting. It's like, what other job in the world makes you jump out of a perfectly good aircraft?
Yeah, exactly. I've got some friends who are airborne that said exactly the same thing. It's hard because all of my family that served, which was generations before me, like I said, my dad was Navy, but Navy during Vietnam was very different than any of the other branches during Vietnam. He was on a tanker truck. A tanker ship. And so he was refueling the ships that were going to and from the Gulf of Tonkin. And he was isolated from what was really going on there, you know. But, you know, my great uncles, you know, they all served in World War II. And so they have the stories. You know, it's kind of funny because sometimes when you're talking about, you know, the old Action Force or the G.I. Joes or whatever, and you're talking about the uniforms and stuff, I'm thinking about my Uncle Frank, my Uncle Ralph, and so forth. My Uncle Ralph served in the Pacific, and my Uncle Frank and my Uncle Nick served in Europe during World War II. And I remember holidays when they would come. That was really the only time I saw them was at the holidays. And they'd kind of reminisce about stuff. And I think my listeners have heard this story before, but let me share this with you real quick. Uncle Nick and Uncle Frank, who served in Europe together, but in completely different platoons, right? Uncle Frank was my grandmother's brother. Uncle Nick was married to my grandmother's sister, so they're brother-in-laws. Brothers-in-law. Let me get the language correct. And they both ended up in the same town in France. Like I said, completely separate from each other. And Nick was already in this bombed out church, sleeping on the floor, when my Uncle Frank got there. And Uncle Frank's telling this story, and he says, and I got to the church, and I'm looking at all the, I'm looking for a place to sleep, and I see somebody. I'm like, that looks like my brother-in-law, Nick. And I walked around to the other side, and I'm like, it really is Nick. And I started thinking, and he's like, this is where it gets a little bit dark, but it gets funny. He said, I could take my sidearm. I could shoot him in the foot, and they'd send him home. And Nick is sitting there listening to the story. He's like, you son of a bitch, you were going to shoot me? He's like, no, Nick, you don't understand. They give you an award and they give you money for that. And they send you home to my sister. And he stops and he thinks about it and he goes, "You were going to shoot me and you didn't do it, you son of a bitch." And the family laughed. I was 10 years old at the time when they told this story. Years later, I was talking with my grandmother about it, and I'm like, and my grandmother was like, "Yeah, they told those stories because they had a rough time and they needed to be funny about those stories because it was so bad." She said,
Yeah.
Ralph served in the Pacific. He was a prisoner of war. She said, "I can't even tell you the stuff he shared with me, and I'm the only one he talked to." I was like, man, you know?
Yeah.
So when I heard stories from my buddies who came back from the Gulf and they were like, yeah, it was nothing. And they meant it. They weren't just covering. They were like, "I didn't even see anything happen." You know, I'm like, well, God bless. That doesn't mean you didn't serve. You served. You did your time. Thanks for doing it, but glad you came back in one piece, you know?
I mean, the term veteran refers to anybody who served in the military. It doesn't matter whether you were deployed to a conflict zone or not. You know, a veteran to me is anyone, because once you make that commitment to, you know, to wear the uniform and represent your country, that's it. You know, you can't control how your career is going to play out and what happens in the world. You know, for like the 4 years that I was in the Australian Army from 94 to 98, Australia wasn't doing anything. There was no. I got out of the Australian Army just before they went to East Timor, when Indonesia invaded East Timor. So if I had stayed in another 12 months, I definitely would have gone, because the unit I was in actually went over to East Timor. So
This is actually really great because I'm getting a better impression of the time that you served. I swear, I know you're much younger, but I projected you back to, you know, the time frame I was thinking, and I think of things like Heartbreak Ridge and that conflict and whatnot.
Well,
and I was
you say
there was the
younger.
Falkland incident, and that was before your time too. But I
was. So when I was doing private security work in Iraq, I'd had a couple of different jobs. Like the first year I was there, I was a bodyguard for an American general for about 9 months, which was a very odd thing, that an American general was being guarded by a bunch of ex-British military police and special forces guys. I never, at the time when I first got the job, I couldn't understand why the American Department of Defense was employing British people to look after one of their own officers. But
I've got some insight on that, but we could talk about that offline sometime.
I had a couple of different jobs, and then I moved down to a new location in southern Iraq as the second in command of a reconnaissance liaison team. And the team leader was a Falklands War veteran. He was in the parachute regiment, and he fought at Goose Green. He's quite a well-known guy, and it was really where he was much older than me. And he quit that job not long after I got there, and I was only the second in command for about 3 months, and then I became the team leader. But a real weird story. I met him, and we were working together for about 2 months in Iraq, and then just through evening conversations over coffee and stuff like that, it turned out that not only was he from my hometown in the United Kingdom, he actually played football or soccer, whatever you want to call it.
I knew what you were saying.
He played football with my uncle. He knew my uncle. They were in.
Oh my gosh, that's an incredible.
All these years later, I'm in southern Iraq, working with this team leader who I very much looked up to because he was a very experienced Falklands War veteran. Somewhat, you would almost go to say, is a bit of a legend in the parachute regiment.
Sure.
And it turns out that he went to high school with my uncle. So
well, I suppose it's not as surprising as you would think. When you think about how big gosh, I'm treading on a tightrope here. The United Kingdom isn't as expansive as it used to be, And when you think about the military of the UK, it's even a smaller sample size. So I guess it's not that surprising. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go back real quick to no. Well, I mean that's a good comment too. But there was a comment that I wanted to bring up. Here it is, Drew. And by the way, I'm sorry I have been negligent in saying hi to the chat because I'm so focused.
I got you covered.
I know you do, Netter. Thank you so much. But I'm so focused. I'm so excited and geeking out about this hero of mine being on my channel. But Drew G,
you make me blush.
good. You deserve to blush. You deserve to be honored, my friend.
Thank
Dude, you started that. You called me your friend. And let me tell you, my heart just friggin' melted when a YouTube channel that you kind of idolize says
that was on the live stream when I was in the States, wasn't it? At Retro Blasting?
Yes, it was. Was. And and in fairness, I know all of y'all had a little bit to drink and you were feeling a little loose.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons I was hosting that show is because Melinda had a few whiskeys. So,
good on her. She deserves it. Damn it. No. But Drew says Analog Toys got to 58,000 today and is dropping an amazing video tomorrow that you don't want to miss. Congratulations, Tony. Yeah, I mentioned it at the top of the show. Now's a good time to mention it again. Make sure you're subscribed to Analog Toys. That link is in the description below. He is our guest bartender serving it up. Look at that thumbnail. He looks like a bartender there sitting behind those toys. And that brings us to, you know what? This is as good a time as any. So let's get into it. You're wearing the Action Force t-shirt. You grew up with Action Force. Yep. And so Action Force, and you've got some great videos on your channel, so I recommend people, especially the American audience that doesn't really know Action Force, go check out his videos. You can go to the little magnifying glass and do a search for Action Force, find all of his videos about them. It's kind of a American-British... There was the G.I. Joe Action Force relationship. And that's really the only way I can say it. There was a symbiotic relationship there. There was not they stole from or anything like that. They were just like Britain and the United States, allies in and whatnot. But you do some deep dives which are very interesting. Your deep dive into Action Force that started your YouTube channel, is that on your YouTube channel?
Yes. Yeah. So so I back when I was leaving Iraq. In fact, let me go back a little bit further. When I left the military, I'd always been fascinated by cinema. I would never used to watch a lot of TV growing up.
Right.
I was a movie buff, and
you're better off for it.
Yeah. I wasn't just a movie buff. I was obsessed with how movies were made and who was the director of photography and how they did the special effects and all of that. And for a long time, I did a couple of short movies in high school where I was an actor, but I also practiced a bit of. I was never a very good actor back then, but I did a couple of high school horror movies, and I'd always been fascinated, and I'd wanted to get into something to do with filmmaking, but never owned a video camera. And it was when I was in the British Army in the Special Forces, we did not take cameras or mobile phones or anything with us. It's highly secretive what we did. So a lot of the photos I've got of my time in the Special Forces are from training exercises, not from actual operations. When I left the military and started doing private security work, everybody owned a video camera because they would drive around Baghdad. They would keep the video camera on the dashboard, because you capture all kinds of unusual footage driving around places in Iraq. And
I would imagine,
yeah. Over the next several years, I put together a documentary, like an inside look at the private security industry, which I tried to sell to Channel 4 in the UK. and they wanted to buy it, but due to a confidentiality clause in my contract, I couldn't sell the documentary. So when I was kind of getting ready to leave Iraq, I didn't want to just walk straight back into civilian life. I was like, what am I going to do? And I still wanted to follow this dream of having something to do with filmmaking, or documentaries mainly.
Sure.
And then I was like, well, I've got this other huge passion, which is collecting old Action Man, Action Force. So I made this documentary, which I sold on DVD. I think I made it in 2011, and it was released. It didn't get released until 2013 because all throughout 2012, Hasbro, who at that time owned the rights to Action Man, they were just a nightmare to deal with just to get permission to use the name in the title of this documentary. But I eventually got around. Hasbro UK were completely useless. And eventually, because I was based in Australia, I got approval from Hasbro Australia to do it.
Sure.
So fast forward to 2016 when I started the YouTube channel. Initially, I didn't put it on the channel. And I've told this story on Patreon. I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly. So this might be an exclusive right here on Last Call with Troy Pacelli. At the time, I was a member of a number of different Action Man collector forums, and there was one in particular where they used to do a photo competition every month, and each month had a theme. And then at the end of the year, the winner of each month, that photo would get put into a calendar for the following year that people could buy from that forum. So December was always the winter theme, so get your Snow Patrol Action Man out and take photos of them. And
sure.
So each month that they would run this photo competition, someone within the forum would stump up a prize for the winner. And I was on the forum one day, and the prize was a copy of my documentary on DVD. But when they showed the photo of it, it was not in a proper DVD case. It was a burnt pirate copy in a CD case with a... because I had all of my DVDs, professionally pressed and printed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I start making inquiries. I'm like, hey, where? I said to the, where did you get my DVD? And he said, what do you mean your DVD? I was like, I'm the guy who made that documentary. Like, where did you get that DVD? And he's like, I bought it from a guy at a toy show. I'm like, I want to know who you bought it from. And it turned out to be one of the guys who ran this forum, who was a quite well-known guy. He used to actually run collector conventions and things like that. And it turned out that he had been burning copies. So I used to sell the DVD for $20.
That's fair.
He had been burning copies of this onto CD with a poorly printed label and selling them at toy shows for $5. For years, and basically when this blew up on the forum,
I can tell you right now that the case and the disc cost $2, so he's making 300% freaking profit on that.
When it all blew up at the time, it was evening in Australia, and I'd already had a few drinks, and I ended up drinking more, and I was getting into arguments with people, and for some reason, because this guy was quite well known, and he was a collector and a dealer, so a lot of people would buy stuff from him. And I was very much although I was a member of this forum, I didn't engage very often in the chat. I'd just be there to see, I was looking to see what stuff would come up for sale, but I didn't really get involved in the comments threads and stuff. So I was a bit of an unknown to people, even though I was the guy who made this documentary. And people tended to side with him, because they didn't like, some of the language I was using when I was getting angry with this guy. And I ended up having to walk away from that forum. And at the time, I think I'd been doing YouTube for about 3 or 4 months. And I said, right, fuck this. No one is going to profit off this. Because I wasn't even selling the DVD anymore. I didn't have many copies left. And, I spent $40,000 making that documentary, and I barely made back 10 grand. That's not why I was doing it. It was I get it. It was a passion project for me. I never actually expected to make back what I had spent on it. But
Right on, KBA. That does sound like a real jackass.
Oh yeah. The guy, an absolute art. And after all that happened, he very much disappeared from the scene. Bob Breakin, one of the original designers, he used to guest at a lot of this guys. He used to do, I think, 2 Action Man collector cons a year. Bob Breakin would guest, and after this happened, the next time he reached out, and salute to Bob for this, he basically flat out said, "I'm never dealing with you again. Like, I know what went down with you and Tony, and I'm not having that." So I said, right, no one's going to profit off this DVD again. I'm going to put it on YouTube for free. It was a 90-minute documentary, so I split it up into 3 parts, and I dropped them on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day of 2016.
Boxing Day. Netter and I tried desperately, whenever possible, to take off of work for Boxing Day, but the Americans don't recognize Boxing Day. So
no, it's a holiday here. Yeah, we get.
I know, I know that.
Yeah, it's the only time in the year where you get two national holidays back to back.
Right. I dig it. Oh no, and so that makes me think, Tony, do you still sell DVDs of it?
No. I've probably got about 8 copies left, which I had a box of 20. Around that time, I think I had about a box of 20 left, and a lot of people have reached out to me over the years. I don't want to sell them on DVD.
Think about it, though. Think about it. Do another pressing and sell them. I think that even though you have made it available on YouTube, I think there's enough. Look, one of the things that myself and a lot of the people in my sphere are all about is it's fine to see stuff on YouTube and stuff, but if there's a physical copy available, buy it.
Own physical media.
Own physical media, absolutely. Support the people that, I mean, absolutely. I'm already a patron of yours, but I would buy one of these,
One of the issues that I had back in the day, because I was based in Australia and the vast majority of the customers were in the UK, it was already a $20 DVD. It might have even been $25 initially, and then after about a year or so, I dropped it down to $20 because, I'd moved the bulk of the stock in the first couple of months, and at that time, a lot of people were complaining that it was a $25 DVD and it was $20 to ship it from Australia to England. So what I did, I figured out that I could send a large letter. A large letter in Australia is something that's less than 20 millimeters thick, and a DVD is about. So I would send them in a tough bag, which the DVD in the tough bag would make it about 16 millimeters, and I could ship them for like $5. But there was no tracking, and I don't believe that the people who claimed all these DVDs went missing in the post, I don't believe it, because the way
Tony, there is another option for you.
Yeah,
you could make it. You could make it a digital download that people could make their own DVD and pay you for it, and then you cut out all of the shipping.
Yeah, that's
and really look at this. Look at this. I'm seeing Drew G. I'm seeing KBA. I'm seeing Samuel Edwards. And Samuel, I'm sorry I didn't see your comments earlier. Welcome to the stream. I'm seeing 3 people just in my stream that are saying that. I'm the 4th. I would.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to go and get a copy of it. I'll be back in just a sec.
I mean, look. Folks, this is what I'm always talking about. Own physical media, because you do 2 things, right? You own it, you have it physically so they can never take it away from you. They can't edit it, they can't cut off your access to it. And you are supporting the artist that made it and encouraging them to make more of the content that you enjoy.
So what you think someday they could say with the documentary, look, it can exist as it does, but you just have to remove all the words Action Man from it.
Well, yeah, exactly, whatever. Right. There you go.
It's a really nice printed disc, professionally made. I went to a company in Perth that was able to print and press these.
Right. So look, you can make that available to people if they're willing to pay the shipping. They can pay the shipping, or you can make the files available. They pay for it. You send them a link to the files, and they can print out their own copies.
That's definitely something I'd be open to. I really don't want to print DVDs again and go through the hassle of
I get you. I understand
packing them up, doing labels, shipping them, and because what a lot of people are doing, because with eBay, if an item doesn't arrive, you can just file a thing and get your money refunded. And
right,
when you ship stuff that's not tracked, you've got no way of proving whether it arrived or not. So although there was probably, I reckon I had about 80 customers who claimed that this DVD went missing in the past. I don't believe anywhere near there was that many, but I was having to issue all of these refunds because I was not sending it tracked, because people $5 for shipping and not $20 for shipping, and then they ended up getting the DVD for free anyway.
No, I hear what you're saying. That's freaking ridiculous. Why? Look, the people that are going to be buying this should be the people that really want to support the artist, because, and here's the thing too, you've already made it available on YouTube. I can watch it for free, right? Yeah. So if I'm going to go to the effort of asking you I'll pay you for a physical copy, obviously I'm someone who wants to support this. I'm not going to try to screw you on this, I think that's the difference. Netter and I, so just last week we had Tom Conkle on the channel, and although we were talking about a completely different topic, we're huge supporters of his independent film, Trouble Is Our Business. He makes that available for free on YouTube, but we always encourage people, buy the DVD, the Blu-ray, and Netter and I have actually bought it twice. He didn't send it to us. We bought the DVD. We bought the Blu-ray. We may buy another DVD just to send it to him and ask him to sign it for us. Yeah. But just for the hell of it. But because we want to support the things we love, right?
Every time I place an order at Valaverse.com, which
we are getting to. We are going into the second hour. We are going to get into that. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I mean, just last week, they had the PowerCon exclusive available at PowerCon, the Swarm Horde, and the same weekend it went up for sale on the Valaverse website. So I placed it, and every time I do that, Bobby always messages me and says, "Hey, you don't have to buy this stuff, right?" I'll sit, and I was like, I want to support the artist who's creating this.
Bingo! I dig it. Absolutely, right?
I like this stuff. I want to buy it. So, yeah.
So, I want to say hi to mvargo97. It's so great to see you on my channel. I see you in all the other chats. Welcome to my channel. Bring them to Joe Fest 2025. Is there any chance of getting you back to Joe Fest for 2025? If you do, Netter and I will come down for Joe Fest.
So there is probably a less than 0% chance I'm going to go to the States in 2024. I've done it 2 years in a row, and we are.
I know you said you can't make it this coming year.
Well, it's not that I can't make it.
You've got a conflict. You've got something else going on.
Yeah, so me and the wife we're in the market for a new house at the moment. I don't want to go.
Don't anybody mention that. That's secret. Don't mention it outside the stream.
I don't want to go to America again without bringing the wife with me. And next year, around the same time as Joe Fest, is my dad's 70th, and we're planning a family holiday to Bali, Indonesia.
Right.
There's some other priorities, and my wife would rather go back to Thailand and visit which we did that this year as well. We went to Thailand for 2 weeks, only a month before I went to America. So I've had a lot of vacation time this year. But
is a Thailand jaunt easier for you than is a Thailand jaunt easier for you than an American jaunt?
Oh yeah. Perth to Bangkok 7 hours, whereas Perth to Atlanta.
Fuck, man. I can imagine.
Like an 11-hour flight to Doha and then a 16-hour flight from Doha to Atlanta.
Oh, fuck, man.
It's like 3 days to get there.
Oh, jeez, man. I know. I don't even like flying a 2-hour flight here in the States. I get you. But, no. Fair enough. Real quick. Yeah, no. So I feel like after hearing you and Michael and the boys talking about, I say the boys, but the girls were in the peanut gallery as you were doing that stream. And I was like, and I looked at Netter and I'm like, damn, we really missed out this year. And I got a buddy here in Chicago who used to go to Joe Fest all the time. And I'm like, dude, we fucking missed out this year. You know, I'm like, when I went to America in 2022 for the first Joe Fest trip, that was a really good trip. This year was a lot better for me because all of the issues I had the previous year with travel arrangements and things like that, I rearranged my trip, having learned some of the problems. But in 2022. There were a few people who came to Joe Fest, Scuba Pete and Jeff Barker were there and Master Son. Michael French just came for a day. He drove down in the morning with Scott Hughes. He's within driving distance. That's true. Yeah.
It's about 2.5 hours from where Michael lives to Augusta, Georgia. So this year, because everyone had such a good time the year before, even more people came and Melinda brought Michael. Michael brought Melinda this time.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I see.
I think Melinda brought Michael actually because
there you go. Right?
Rather than doing a day trip, they stayed for the whole weekend. Matt Swafford came along as well.
I just feel like Netter and Melinda would get along just famously. I really do.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The two enablers, right? I mean,
yeah.
And then for that online con that you all did, Melinda did those cakes, the baking, and I'm like, oh, this is so Netter. I'm just like, oh man, I am so in the right community. I super appreciate it. I said hi to him at the top of the chat. I want to say hi to PJ from Orville Nation. He has now joined us actually in physicality. Thanks so much for being here, my friend. So I did want to get back to the action for you. I'm less alcohol, more soda. So I'm gonna try to ground myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm fuzzy. I'm pissed. I really am. And this is what Fridays are all about. I had a rough week. I really did. It was brutal. So Action Force, like I said, had this incredible symbiotic relationship with G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe and Action Man were the 12-inch military figures. I had an asshole uncle who used to, I had a G.I. Joe figure. The old-fashioned G.I. Joe with the flocked hair, and the swivel arm and stuff. And, I'd be playing with him in the backyard, and he'd take a screwdriver, and he'd, try to stick it in his leg, and I'd be like, "You're ruining my toy." And he's like, he's already got scars on his face. What? It's another injury. And I'm like, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an adult, and I was a kid, but I'm like, you're an asshole. And then I guess this was when I started to appreciate my toys. But then we went from 12-inch G.I. Joe to the 9-inch
Super Joe.
Super Joe. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I had those because I was really into the Migos in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they were in scale with those. I had the G.I. Joe and the reptilian enemy and the Neanderthal.
Cobra Commander?
Gore, King of
No,
the
I'm not even there yet, Boomer. Those were the 3 3/4 inch action figures. I'm still on the 9-inch.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, when he had the van and the beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yes.
And then we went to by the time we got to, in the United States, when we got to the 3 3/4 inch action figures, I was kind of out of it. Although throughout all of that, I was 3 3/4 inch Kenner Star Wars.
Yeah.
So middle class, my dad, like I said, my dad was a barber. I had a focus. I got the Micronauts in the 70s. I got, there's a lot of things you and Michael cover in the 70s and 80s that I was into, but my focus was always those 3 3/4 inch Star Wars. Didn't get into the 12-inch, didn't get into the micro, because I had a focus. Otherwise, I wouldn't get those toys, right? We only had so much to work with. When we got to G.I. Joe, I couldn't even do that. It wasn't until Netter and I got married and I started buying a couple of the Action Force 3 3/4, the common ones that were just fairly cheap. Common G.I. Joes. Why was I buying them? To make custom Star Wars figures. Those joints on the G.I. Joes would make great customization for the Star Wars figures. So, But, at the risk of triggering any toy fans that are here in the chat, it was only common figures. I didn't destroy or open any rare figures or anything like that. So don't get all bent out of shape. Speaking of rare figures, you and Michael are always talking about Stan Solo. I thank God in my prayers for Stan Solo. Otherwise, I'd never have a blue snag. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was as a child, and this may even be before your time, Tony. I don't know, but when those first hit the market, we all know now because of the internet that the blue snaggletooth was a exclusive to Sears with their Creature Cafe or whatever it was toy, what do you call it, play set. It was a cardboard background with and it came with blue snag and 3 common figures. It was Greedo, Walrus Man, and Hammerhead, I think. Yep. Pretty sure that's what it was. That was the only way you could get them. And as a kid growing up, we all got the Sears and Roebuck catalog. Was it still Sears and Roebuck, or was it just Sears?
I think it might have still been Sears and Roebuck.
Okay, Sears and Roebuck. At Christmas time, it was
I knew
that
of
thick.
Sears and Roebuck when I was a kid, so maybe they still.
Okay. So I'm not so old as I thought I was. Okay, so it was Sears and Roebuck, and it was in that catalog. Back then, as kids, we didn't know from exclusives, right? We saw that. We thought we could get it anywhere. So when I did my list for Santa Claus and gave it out to my family and my great aunt and everyone who wanted to buy me gifts, I wanted the tall blue snaggletooth. And they went all over looking for it, couldn't find it. They didn't know that it was exclusive to Sears. It's not until the age of the internet that I figured out what the hell was going on with that. And I'm like, well, I missed out on that. And then Stan's...
Did they even say in the catalog it was exclusive?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really know.
No, it was the cardboard playset that was intended to be the exclusive part of it, and then all the figures were going to be released on Carbacks later. Tony's right. In fairness,
the blue snaggletooth was not intended to be a Sears exclusive. The problem with it was, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on how they prototype the toys based on pictures from behind the scenes. They didn't know what Snaggletooth was until the movie came out. They didn't know colors, and they didn't know how tall he was. Yeah. That was the problem. And so that's what was gonna be, just like the other 3 figures, on the card back. And then they realized, after Sears had already started making them, no, this is wrong. And then they went to the shorter red one. And, so I don't want to get off on a tangent on that, but that's how that happened. There was no way I was ever going to get that. And it was a fond memory. Something I always wanted, couldn't have. That was that, Holy Grail. Stan Solo comes along, and he's putting these things out, and I'm like, done. And I told Netter the story, and she's like, how much is it? Fuck yeah, get that thing.
I did not use the F word.
No, you didn't use the F word. Piss drunk Troy uses that word, but yes. She was that eager, though. That's Netter for you, right? So I ordered the thing, got it. Stan Solo's awesome. Stan Solo's also the only one that's put out that, what do you call it? That orb speeder that sits out in front of the cantina.
The Ubrikian 9000.
Ubrikian, yeah. I got that thing because, damn it, I'm like, no one else is putting it out. I'll buy that thing because I'm also a huge fan of those mini rigs. In a way, that's kind of like those mini rigs from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that stuff. But yeah. So I'm all behind that. But I'm sorry. When I get pissed, I get all over the place. Let's get back to Action Force. So I've bought Action Force figures. Specifically, there was a character in Action Force 3 3/4. He was an underwater figure. He was like a frogman of some kind. I bought a bunch of him. He was cheap. He was common. And I bought a bunch of him. What's interesting is when I bought those figures, I don't know, they were like $2 a piece. They were on card, but those bubbles were falling off. They were just falling off. I didn't have a choice. They were uncarded when I bought them. I didn't care. I was buying them to open them because I wanted to use them to customize with stormtroopers to make underwater stormtroopers. I do that. I do a lot of custom figures. In fact, I'm going to do my little show and tell here real quick. Here's one of my custom figures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's a custom Chewbacca. That's really just an original Chewbacca with a vintage collection, what do you call it? Imperial Guard cloak and a little bead. The bead has a hole in it, so it just fits right on that thumb of his. Yep. And you can hold it like that. And I made the card. Oh, that Akmina figure? How cool is that? I've customized an Akmina figure. I'm sorry. I know that there's people on the that follow me that have seen. I want to give attribution, but I'm too foggy to do that right now.
Very nice.
That's just a resin figure that I painted, Yep. And this is somebody a hole in the. I'm gonna make a mistake again. Hole in the Ground Productions did a resin print of the entire friggin' cantina. I got that from him, and I'm working on building that, and I'm gonna do a cantina. I blur the lines between play sets and dioramas. I don't know. I don't know where the line is, but I
what
do
about
blur.
Tungori?
Tungori is great because it's kind of like buying surplus action figures without giving the money to friggin' Disney. But that's no, seriously. Sometimes it's friggin' $13 shipping, but for a reasonable price, you can get these figures that are going for 5 times as much on the secondary market. I don't know if they fell off the truck or what, but he's out of Thailand, and I get some great figures there. I get these boxes of.
I'm dropping the link.
Yeah. So I think most of my channel knows about it, but yeah, definitely check that out. I was gonna bring up Tony. I don't know if you know about this, but real quick, I'm gonna go to my channel.
Wait. Tim Hayes said Michael French was gifted a custom Acmina figure some years back.
Good. He's got one too. I'm gonna have to talk to Michael about that. That's great. And real quick, I want to just thank Drew G. He just subscribed to me. Thank you so much, my friend. You are awesome. And Analog Toys subscribed to me an hour ago. Thank you.
I thought I was already subscribed.
Dude, same thing here. Dude, the first time I had Michael French on the channel, how long have I been following Michael? You know? And I know I was subscribed to him. I went to his channel to find his email, and I wasn't subscribed. And I'm like, that's friggin' YouTube. That's YouTube. Yeah. I was subscribed and no longer subscribed. So, folks, I say it almost every stream. So many of these channels say, check and make sure you're still subscribed. It's friggin' true.
Yeah.
Double check. It's true. But I'm going to go real quick to my channel because there's a video I want to share with you. I don't know if you've seen it. I did a parody video that I think is...
your commercial?
Yeah. So let me real quick. I guess I got to take the thing off. I got to blow this up.
You got to share your screen.
I got to share my screen, and I'm piss drunk, so bear with me. Present... Present, share screen.
You ever notice that anytime someone's sharing the screen, they always do that? They're like, present, share screen, do this,
no,
this.
I screwed it up because you got to hear the sound.
They don't want the dead air, I think.
No, yeah, and I'm talking, and, you know.
We all do it.
I don't know.
Entire screen, share system sound. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let me hit play.
From Kenner, Star Wars Holiday Special Collection comes Mala, Itchy, Lumpy, and all 20 action figures, including the new Bloodlow, Zutmore, and more, each sold separately. And now, Acmina, Star Wars bartender, with her drink dispensing pitcher. Acmina is not yet available in stores, but you can get her free with 4 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars Holiday Special action figures. Details on specially marked packs at participating stores. Offer expires May 31st. Star Wars Holiday Special action figures, sold separately from Kenner.
How did you get that music?
Okay, if you go to the video, and later on, after I sober up, I will send you the link. Netter, remind me to send him the link to that specific video. In the video, I credit the music. It's on YouTube.
He also made the Mala.
Yeah, well, you saw... Yeah, the Mala was literally a customized Chewbacca figure. The Itchy and Lump... Well, the Itchy was another... And all of the figures that you see that are custom, where I got them from are all linked in the video description. But the Itchy was a resin cast that I got from somebody. The Lumpy was really just an Ewok with the ears filed down and a repaint. I mean, and all of these figures I have on cards as well, because that's my illness, and we all share it. So I mean, it's not a big surprise. So this is the difference between me and a lot of the channels. I get. Like that video, I have a bunch of comments saying, how can I buy those from you? No. I gave you the link to where I got them from. You get them from them. And if you want advice on how to paint them and stuff, you know, I'll help you with it. But it would be too expensive to get it from me. Just do it yourself, you know. And as far as the card backs, I made them in Photoshop and so on and so forth. I will email those to you for free. No problem. Print them out on cardstock. You do them yourself. You know, don't send me any money. You know, that's just not. I can't get into that. But my whole shtick is I want all the things that don't exist that should have existed. Let's face it, those holiday special figures, we've seen prototypes of those on the internet. They were gonna put those out.
Yeah.
In an alternate universe, we would have gotten them. I'm gonna friggin' make them myself. And luckily, there's other crafters out there that are helping me do it. You know, that I didn't focus on it, but the Boba Fett from the holiday special with the firing backpack. That's from Pro
Custom.
Pro Custom Figures. Yes, thank you. And they're also linked in that particular video. That's my thing, you know. And damn it, I'm a 50-plus-year-old guy living my best life, getting the toys that I always wanted, you know. That's kind of the thing about our hobby, right, Tony? We're adults loving toys, you know, having this awesome social network with other toy collectors. But damn it, there's people in this you know, sphere that never friggin' grew up. There's the junk person channel that, you know, and the He-Man expert who made a toy of himself, and you know, all these other assholes. Serious? No, Agent Boomer knows who I'm talking about. I know you do, Tony.
Yeah.
Who are out there just they never friggin' grew up. And it's like, we really are adults enjoying toys, but interacting socially as adults. Am I wrong? I mean,
no, you're 100% right. 100%.
That garbage picker that I just mentioned. I had a guest on my channel talking about Star Wars one time, and he was like suddenly in the chat, and I'm like, "What? Hi, welcome, glad you're here. I guess." Well, I did. I sent a private message to Netter, and I said, "Keep an eye on this guy. If he says anything that you feel is untoward, you can bounce him." She didn't know who he was until after the chat, or after the stream, and I talked to her about it, and she's like, "Whoa." He was there because of the guest that I had, and he's been kind of stalking her, and you know he's an asshole, so I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And I think about 90% of my chat knows what I'm talking about. Send me DMs if you want to know if I'm too oblique. I don't want to talk about it in a stream.
All of my audience knows. So.
I know they do. Yeah. No, you you and Michael have no problem doing a whole video about it. I appreciate that about you. I just feel like maybe I don't want to talk about it publicly, but I'll totally talk about it privately with anybody who sends me a DM. Absolutely. But there's some real assholes in the toy sphere. And I guess I understand it. We are talking about toys, right? We're talking about kid stuff, right? And so I understand that there's some people collecting this stuff that never grew up. So I guess I shouldn't be too shocked. But I kind of am. Because I kind of feel like nostalgia, you need a certain degree of maturity to feel nostalgia. You know? You and I both are family men who have responsibilities, and this is a hobby for us. It's a hardcore hobby, but it's still a hobby, and we keep... And look, if I fell on hard times and I had to sell, I'm sure Netter would fight me and not want to let me do it, but if we fell on hard times and I had to sell my Jabba sail barge, I'd friggin' do it to keep my house, take care of my wife, you know? Because we're adults, right? I kind of feel like there's some people out there that their whole life revolves around sniping at people on the internet and being assholes and, you know, collecting toys. It's like, you didn't grow up, pal. there's something wrong with you. You don't even have like a mental disorder to fall back on. You're just an asshole.
Yeah.
Netter's laughing because
most of those people think that I'm the asshole, but
you're an asshole in the best fucking way, though, man. You really are. You really are. You're an asshole like I'm an asshole. It's like you're the asshole I want on my side. Michael too. I've never called him an asshole, but I think he'd accept that. Good people. This is a good community, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really believe that. So yeah, this is unfortunately the kind of way I kind of go all around the universe, and the more I drink, the more random I am. But so you have a parallel but very different perspective on the on your toy journey. Let me ask you this: you are a family man. You're married. You have at least one heir.
One son.
Do you share this interest with him?
He's never gotten into it, He played with Lego a bit when he was younger. He really liked the what's that Ninja brand? Ninjago, I think they call it. It's a whole
he knows it. He knows it. Yeah.
And a bit of Bionicle. I could never get him into, and I didn't try to force it on him, but I would,
No.
I would buy a few things here and there, and he was never interested. So when I was coming up with the name for the channel, I was talking to my wife, and it's like, well, I've never been able to get him into playing with action figures because he's grown up in a digital age playing with digital toys. It was all iPads, computer games, PlayStations. That's always been his thing.
Yeah.
So that's where the name of the channel came from. It's like I grew up in this analog age, and he's in this.
Yes, good point. Yeah. I get it. It's a shame, but because I think about Bosk's Bounty and Little Bosk, and I'm like, oh man, they got that. That's something they're doing together. But because Netter's here with us, I gotta ask you. And you again, I said it in the green room. If this is too personal, you don't have to answer. But how does Mrs. Analog Toys? How does she feel about it all, and where is she at in this journey?
So when we I was living in Thailand. That's where I met her. I had a nice little condominium apartment there, and we'd been dating for a while, and then she kind of moved in But I didn't have my collection in Thailand. It was in Australia. But she knew I was interested in toys because at the time when she actually moved in, I had taken 9 months off work. I'd left Iraq, and I was making the Action Man documentary. So I traveled to England twice to interview people and stuff. And I had a very small collection of Action Man stuff in the in a cabinet next to the TV. But I was always on my computer working on this video about toys, so she was always aware of it. It was then when she arrived in Australia the following year, and I went to my parents' house and I started pulling out box after box after box. She's like, well, got this going on, and she's always sort of just grown with it, and she feigns that she has no real interest in any of it, and yet if we have guests round for a dinner party or something, she's the one who always wants to go in and show them the collection.
Yeah.
So she tells me every day, like, I don't give a crap about your toys. But yeah, as soon as there's an opportunity to show it off.
That sounds like Netter a lot. Netter may not actually be as into the Star Wars toys as I am, but she is into, let's call it what it is, Tony. She's into me, and she's into seeing me happy. So she knows how much I dig it, and so she gets jazz just from that, you know.
Tell them about the Millennium Falcon.
Tony probably doesn't know this channel. Most of my chat knows this story, but Tony, you may not know this story. Here in the United States, and this kind of goes to the song I was singing. we had Toys R Us here in the States until they went bust.
Yep.
Great toy store, which was a great memory from my childhood. While they still existed back in the 90s, the Power of the Force line came out. And as a promotion at Toys R Us, they had... Okay, so the Millennium Falcon from the original toy line, right?
Yep.
They blew it up to full size. That would be about 6 feet.
6 foot by 4 foot.
6 foot by 4 foot. Vacuum form. It was identical to the toy, but a vacuum form shell that hung from the ceiling in Toys R Us. It was a display.
Yeah.
After the first big run of Power of the Force, or Power of the Jedi, I guess it was in the 90s, was done, Netter was really getting into eBay. And she's like, I want a challenge. Is there something that you want that you think I could never find for you? And I described this to her. I said, there was these, displays in Toys R Us, the Millennium Falcon. I'd be really interested. Well, she first had to do the research and find out that they were called the Millennium Falcon Extraordinaire. And then she had to do the research on how to find one. She found somebody who had worked at Toys R Us that had one. Apparently these things had been recalled by Hasbro because they had lights in them that the electronics were bad and they would start fires. So they recalled them. So anyone who still had them, it was a rare thing. And she got into a little bidding war online and got me one. We had to drive out to Cincinnati, Ohio. That's about a 5-6 hour drive from where we're at to pick it up. Had to borrow a buddy's Jeep in order to pick this thing up. Driving home with this thing strapped to the top of the Jeep, and people driving by honking because they see this giant Millennium Falcon. They're like, yeah, good. My goal, and I've already drilled out the holes to break it into 2 pieces. I want to do the diorama. I want to do the cockpit. I want to do the hallways. I want to, long-term thing. But yeah, that's Netter. That I got one of those because of her, and it's, all the versions of the Millennium Falcon they put out were way underscaled. This is 6 feet. It's out in my garage. When I say my other car is the Millennium Falcon, I'm kind of not joking. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But that's my wife. So that's kind of where I am in my toy journey. And it's good to see, people like yourself, people like, Michael and Melinda. It's like, okay, even if they're not totally into that, they're into you and they're into your crazy. And that's what's important.
My wife's happy that, so my wife, she works 2 weekends a month. She does 2 weekends in a row and then 2 weekends in a row off. So she's working this week and she works long hours. She's working Saturday and Sunday. I think she's happy that I'm not just down the pub. All right, I'll have a few drinks this afternoon. I'll probably get drunk tonight. But I'm not down the pub and mixing with all these sordid people.
She's the best bartender. She doesn't even drink, and she is the best bartender. Usually, she's the one mixing my drinks.
Yeah, I stay home and I work on my videos and I mean she's very proud of what the channel has grown into. And I about 3 days ago, I think it was, I got the paperwork from the Australian Taxation Office. Analog Toys is now actually Analog Toys Proprietary Limited. I am now the director. It's an official company.
Yes, I saw your video about that. I am fired up about that. Am I correct? Something you said in the video. You're like me. You have another full-time job in addition to your YouTube. Yeah. See, that's different from Michael. Michael's a YouTuber. That's what he does. Whereas you and I, we work full-time, and our YouTube is the second job in a way, really.
Very much so. Like I've been running the channel like a business like a small business for several years. Not because I'm in it to make money, but it was, you want to keep growing the channel. You've got to keep getting content out. And I work on average a 40-hour week.
Same here.
I've got I work for a big mining company in Australia, one of the biggest resource companies in the world. I work for a company. The reason I live in Port Hedland, this is where we ship all of the iron ore that we mine in Western Australia. It gets shipped to steel mills mostly in China. So I work at a huge. I think it's the largest iron ore export port in the world. It's certainly the biggest port in Australia. So I've got a pretty demanding job, and then I get home from work around 4:30 every day, and I work for several hours on the channel every night, normally writing scripts, and then the weekends is when I actually do filming and editing and that kind of thing. It consumes a lot of time, but it keeps me out of trouble,
It really does. Netter, I think, and Netter, jump in here and correct me if I misspeak on your behalf, but I feel like one of the great things that Netter's loved is the fact that not only do we do a lot of things together, we went to conventions together, we did the cosplay together, all those kinds of hobbies we did together, but also the things that she wasn't really involved with, my D&D games and my toy collecting and stuff, it was still all stuff I did here. I'd have the boys over here to play D&D. And then after the coof, it was all online, and I was still here. She always knew where I was. Not like she needed to, but it was like I was, and now, since the coof, we both work from home. So literally, we are together 24/7. And honestly, after 31 years, we're both. And I hope I'm not misspeaking that, or I think you're into me too after 31 years. We enjoy spending 24 hours, 7 days a week together. Yeah. So I'm just saying, that's, you got to find yourself a wife who understands you're crazy. Maybe not all of it, but be there for each other. So this is interesting. Humble Collector Reviews says, what do you think of lack of new toy lines out there? Do you think the world toy instantly makes... okay, there's probably some misspellings here. Do you think the world toy instantly makes non-collectors think of children instead of us adult collectors? Okay, let me interpret the way I think you're asking that. Currently, we have a toy market that, let's face it, it's really geared towards the adult collector.
Yep.
I don't feel like the kids are buying toys anymore. Am I right, Tony?
So there was a really interesting... So back when I was making my Story of Action Man documentary, one of the guys I interviewed, he was the former brand marketing manager for Action Man back in the day. And he made this very pertinent statement, and this was back in 2011 I interviewed him, still relevant today. He was saying that, because I was talking, do you think Action Man will ever come back, or would it work in the modern in the modern world? And he said that back in the 70s and 80s, Action Man as a toy was marketed to children of the ages 4 to 12 years old. And today the ages would probably be 3 to 6, and that's it, because beyond that it's all digital, it's all electronic. And I very much believe that. So a lot of when I see toy lines in retail stores that are aimed at children, Imaginext and that kind of thing, it's very much those 3 to 5 year old kids. There's really not a lot of stuff around for the 7 to 11 year olds, because they're not doing it anymore. There's also
so I have a buddy who's my peer, maybe a couple years older than me, Skipper Kenner. Those of you guys in the chat, Skipper Kenner. He's local to me. He's a fireman, and he's got boys that are going into college now, and he and I were both, the big time Star Wars fans. We chewed the same ground as far as the toys and whatnot. And his boys were Star Wars fans prequel. and they all of them, him and his boys, dragged me into the prequels. I didn't care for the prequels. I didn't care for Rebels and the Clone Wars, but they dragged me into it, and I guess I kind of got into it because of them. That's not a bad thing. But there you go, right? There is the generational handoff. You know? That's gotten so rare, though. There are so few, because, let's face it, the entertainment industry, the toy industry have just mucked it up. They blew any momentum for passing it on to the next generation. I mean, you a little bit, Michael, a lot, have done videos about this. Kind of bemoaning. And you know what? In our own way, Age of Boomer and I on Geeky Geezers on Sunday have talked about this a lot. Kind of bemoaning what the entertainment industry is doing and how they're alienating the next generation to the point that Disney is not bringing in the kids. Look, even this Barbie stuff, the success of Barbie, that's because of 30-plus-year-old women that are into Barbie. There ain't no young girls going to see this that are all fired up about this. Enjoy it while you can, Mattel. Mattel. Barbie is Mattel, am I right? Mattel. Yeah. Enjoy it while you can, Mattel, because you have one generation left and you're done. Just saying. I mean,
the movie's done very, very well, but I'd be interested to see how the movie-related merchandise is doing, because we've only got like one retail store here in Port Hedland's a very remote town. Only like 15,000 people live here.
Yeah.
We've got a Kmart, and it's like the only place that's got a toy aisle. And I was in there several weeks ago, and they had a whole bunch of the Margot Robbie Barbie dolls and the what's his name who plays Ken, the handsome Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the guy from Blade Runner 2.
They had a whole bunch of those dolls on the toy shelf several weeks ago, and then I was back in there 2 days ago, and they were still there. Like, they're not moving that product.
So Age of Boomer and I have been following this on the Geeky Geezers on Sunday. We've been following, the marketing and the toy sales and the movie, ratings and whatnot. Apparently, they've more than tripled their Barbie sales here in the U.S. So it's working out.
Of the merchandise.
It's working. Well, look, let's face it, right? Mel Brooks wasn't wrong in Spaceballs when he said merchandising, where the real money of the movie is made from. It's true. It was true with Star Wars for damn sure. Marvel, everything. It's, you make your money on the movie, you make your money on whatever residuals, but the real money is in the marketing, and this is why the toy companies are getting into films, is because of the marketing, and Barbie hit it. But my suspicion is we can quote you the articles and the statistics about the sales of Barbie figures. What we can't quote to you is who the hell is buying them. And I still feel like it's the adult collectors doing it. I don't think the kids give a damn about Barbie. And because I'm just drunk enough to be thinking about this, 12-inch action figures, I scared the crap out of myself going on Etsy looking at custom 12-inch figures, because apparently there's some weird-ass shit on eBay. There's some people making lifelike, anatomically correct Barbie, Ken, and G.I. Joe. Silicone editions for your figures. Holy shit. This stuff is scary-ass crap. Boomer, you and I are going to have to talk. And my fear is, if you're going to look this up, do it in incognito, because otherwise it'll keep showing up in your...
Not safe for work.
It ain't safe for work. And it's like, I can't believe this shit exists. It's like, oh, damn it, man. This is, holy crap. I don't know, man. There's some weird people out there. The kids ain't buying this shit. At least I hope they ain't. But that's a whole different thing. I have this comment up because it made me want to bring up something. Dingo Dundee, and Tony, you got a lot of people coming to the chat here because of you. Thank you so much. You're bringing some eyes to my channel. I appreciate it. I collected the Star Wars model kits, never got into the figures. The reason I brought this up is because I got a little story that I don't think my regulars know about. When I was a kid back in the 80s, Empire Strikes Back, what was the toy we all wanted? The AT-AT, right? And I asked Santa for it.
Mike. Scratchy weird.
Is my mic not coming in? Maybe I'll just punch it up a little bit. Give me a second. Settings, audio.
You sound like a Cyberman.
Yeah, it's like scratchy. It's not volume. It's like.
That's our internet connection. Then there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry, guys. Tony, can you hear us? Can I get one?
I can hear you, but you sound like a robot. Has the cable come loose or something?
No, haven't touched anything. It's gotta be our baud rate on our internet. Guys, let me know if it gets any better. I'm hoping it does. Ned, or am I still all left up? Damn it.
I'll let you know when it clears.
Boomer and Tony take over. I'm gonna reboot. Give me a second.
Yep, no problem.
Sure. So let's see here, though. Yeah, I see Hero Quest. I'm just trying to think. What else do you have there in the background there? I think I see Marvel. Is that right?
Yeah, that's my collection of Marvel Legends. I don't have a huge collection of Marvel Legends, but yeah, that's my Marvel. So this is sort of a lot of the modern stuff and a lot of the stuff that doesn't, fit into the main collection room. I've got glass cabinets in the collection room, so a lot of the older vintage stuff I like to keep behind glass, keep the dust off it. And when I moved into this house and I was setting up this studio, I wanted a nice colourful background, so I put some LED lights in and stuff like that, and yeah, got some Masters of the Universe Origins and things like that. So I don't know if Chronically Online is still in the chat. He did say earlier he was going to only be able to catch the first hour, but I wanted to do a shout out to Chronically Online. He messaged me the other, and I know, we've chatted a bit on. We're doing a podcast. We haven't locked in the date, but we're doing a live stream together sometime in the near future. But the reason I wanted to bring up Chronically Online is he messaged me a couple of days ago and said, very politely, he was like, "Hey, I've tagged you in my latest video because I mentioned a video that I did recently, and I was more than happy for him to do that." But it prompted me to click on it and go and look at the video, and I found it a really, really interesting video. So I subscribed to the channel, and then I've watched a bit more of his content, and it's really funny. He speaks really well. He's intelligent. So I highly recommend anyone who's not checked out Chronically Online. Certainly, if you're into Star Wars, like Troy is, the Star Wars that we had growing up, definitely a channel worth checking out.
Chronically Online, I'll look into it.
Yeah, and Drew G saying that he's going to be on Drew's channel tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. So that will be too early for me, Drew. That's 3 a.m. for me, but I'll definitely catch the replay. Yeah.
Nice.
So did you ever have a big ticket item you asked for like a birthday or Christmas when you were younger, like a toy that you really wanted, but you weren't sure if you were going to get, that you were stressing about? I'm just curious. So I know with Troy, he always talked about getting the Atari 2600 with Space Invaders. That was his big thing that he was worried about.
Yeah. Oh, for me, there could be numerous ones for me. I know in 1987, I really wanted it was called Action Force, but it was the same toy, the G.I. Joe Transportable Tactical Battle Platform. Now, that was the last year that I was in England before I moved to Australia. And I had a cousin he was a number of years younger, but he was also into that same toy line. And because we used to spend a lot of time together on weekends, my parents got together with his parents and said, "Hey, let's not buy Tony and Shane the same toy." That way, when they get together on the weekend and play Action Force, they've got a different toy.
Right.
So they gave him the transportable tactical battle platform, and I got the Cobra Moray. And they worked really well together. They were both, water-based toys. But it's I was always a bit. And I've got a photo of him in childhood with the transportable tactical battle platform. So I've actually put that in a video and kind of told that story before. So today I've got both of those toys. So I'm happy.
Okay, I'm gonna give this another try.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think I was getting hit by something. My virus thing came up and said something was happening. So I think that was a good thing. I real quick I want to call out. Gosh, thanks to all of you guys that are first time here because of Tony. This wasn't my intent. This isn't why I have Tony on. I was just selfish. I wanted to meet Tony. I want to hang out with him. But if you guys enjoy what you're seeing here, I'd super appreciate a subscription. And same goes for Age of Boomer, Netter. All the links are in the description below. Please follow us. It would encourage the hell out of us. But yeah, bring me up to speed. What have I missed?
Oh, I was just.
Although you guys probably were enjoying yourselves more without me, but
Here, I'll let Analog. So.
No, good. Thank you so much for filling in the gaps for me.
You were showing off his LED lights. You have LED lights for your figures anywhere? No.
Well, let me tell you something. Toy Polloi has some great videos about customizing your vehicles and whatnot with lights and whatnot. And I'm looking at my right to the side of me. I got that Razor Crest, and I'm thinking, I think that was meant to have lights in it, and they didn't do it. And I could totally do that myself. And I got the original. Slave One when it was still called Slave One, and that wasn't politically incorrect to call it that. And Toy Polloi has this great video about putting lights into that. I might end up doing that. And like I said, Hole in the Ground Productions did that crowdfund on the cantina, and that needs some lights too. So yeah, I'm gonna totally do that. But Tony, it's funny. Last week there was a video with this background that you got, and the lights are filtering through the different colors. Netter looked up at the screen just at the point where green was coming up, and she's like, "Is he really in front of all those toys, or is that a green screen?" I said, "No." I said, "Give it a second, watch." She's like, "Oh, yeah," because of the green on your back and on the sides of your head. She thought it was like a green screen. No, those are his toys. Yeah, for sure. I did.
Yeah, no, I don't. Green screen's really difficult to what you really need a very good green screen background that is evenly colored all the way through, and then you need to light it properly because. Otherwise, when you go to crop it out, you've got shadows to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of. Well, I say I'm not a fan. I don't have the technical ability to do anything on green screen. It's not.
I have the green screen, and I could put it behind me. The problem is, like you said, lighting requires space, and I would have to put the camera farther back, and the lights farther back, and that's where Netter is. And then there's only like 2 feet behind her, and that's our basement. So I can't do it. That's just the way it is. But yeah. So
Luddites are us.
Luddites are us, exactly. And there he is saying Netter. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are so encouraging. I super appreciate you. Gosh, I didn't even get halfway into what I wanted to. We're at the 11 o'clock mark. I will wrap this up for you, Tony, and Age of Boomer, because I know you got to go too.
Hey, we can do a part 2, man. I've enjoyed myself. So,
dude, that would be. I didn't want to. to push, but it would be awesome. Maybe in a couple months that would be great. I'll give you some time because I know you're a busy guy. I'll hit you up on the Patreon or whatever DM kind of thing. That would be awesome because I would love to talk.
Are you on Facebook or Instagram or
Netter's on the Facebook. I don't do the Facebook. I had a Facebook account. It got hacked, and I said, "Fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore."
Yeah.
I just let it go.
Twitter.
But damn it, I meant to get more into the Action Force, the Valaverse, Bobby Vala, what you're doing, the Desert Rat stuff. I think that most of the people here are already keyed into that. I think everybody knows the only thing keeping me out of the Valaverse is I'm not in that scale. I'm 3 3/4, and I gotta focus in like a laser beam. But if I was into that scale, I'd be friggin' all over that. If nothing else, I should probably think about getting myself a Desert Rat figure. Doing whatever I got to do to, whatever promotion or pay extra or whatever to get it autographed or something.
There's the 3 3/4-inch Desert Rat figure now which is a colab.
I did see that. That's pretty awesome.
And did you see what Michael French did? Michael French took that Desert Rat figure. He took the helmet from Endor Leia and the rifle from the Rebel Endor Commando, put that with the Stan Solo Desert Rat, and it looks like another Endor trooper.
I did not see that, but that's friggin' awesome. Okay, last question then for you, Tony.
Yeah.
What is it like to actually have a toy of yourself? And I don't mean like this Hasbro bullshit that they're doing. I mean a real full-on, Action Force figure of yourself.
It is. I've had 2 years to get used to the idea now. It was. The figure came out in May of 2022, but it was announced during the first Iconicon, which was just over 2 years ago. So
I watched it. I saw it. I was fired up about it. Yeah.
I'm just so overwhelmingly honored that, to me, it was a really heartfelt tribute to not just my military service, but what I've done over the last 6 to 10 years.
Yes, your real life
in documenting the history of Action Man and Action Force, because no one else, there are other channels on YouTube that talk about Palatoy Action Force and Action Man, but no one's ever covered it in the kind of depth with the kind of research
that's absolutely true.
And it is, it's a highlight of my life. It always that original 6-inch Desert Rat. And I mean, and Bobby did such an amazing job. The figure far exceeded all my expectations, from the sculpt to the tattoo to all the accuracy of all the equipment.
Tony,
Hasbro would have fucked it up, I'm telling you.
The one thing I can say about Bobby Vala is, even though, like I said, I'm not the target audience for that scale of toy, he's doing it so right that he is forcing the big boys to hitch up their pants and pay attention.
Yes.
I think Mattel and Hasbro are looking at that and going, damn, we better get our shit together. Amen. If nothing else, that's a huge victory. But man, you are. I said it tongue in cheek, but I wasn't really joking when I said a real Australian hero. A real. You really did live that life. And so when you read the lore on the back of that action figure, it's like very much a nod to a real person who did real stuff. You're the historian of the toys, because Desert Rat is the historian of the, the Valaverse, world.
What's it that Colonel Troutman says to Rambo in Rambo 3? He says, John, when are you going to come full circle? When are you going to realize? And I'm like, I've come full circle now. You know,
Indeed
everything
you
in
have.
life beyond this point is just, you know, a bonus. Because it was getting an Action Man when I was around 4 or 5 years old that made me want
12-inch?
12-inch, yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
And I had an SAS Action Man, which made me not only want to join the military, but actually eventually get into the SAS. And then I did that, and then, you know, after a while of doing that, I realized, you know, I didn't want to do that forever. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose my life in some faraway country. You know, I
Amen.
wanted to live a long life, and I went from playing Action Man to being Action Man to then going back to collecting Action Man, and I eventually became Action Man again. So that lifelong dream of wanting to be that childhood hero of mine, you know, it wasn't just a case of me emulating that hero. I've now actually been turned into that thing. It's an incredible story, and it's you know, it's one that I hope my son passes on to his children and my great grandchildren.
Amen. So guys, everybody who's listening to this, all my regulars, you know, all the Tony fans, anyone who's watching this in the future, when I on my channel I'm talking about aspirational heroes and, you know, how important that is, Tony is the perfect example of someone who not only was inspired by those aspirational heroes, he lived it, and now he is giving back to the next generation the lore and the toys and the whatnot that will inspire the next generation of aspirational heroes. No, it's absolutely, it's objectively true. I'm not even blowing smoke. This is absolutely true. And let's face it, that's really what it is. From England to Australia, doesn't matter either way. You're an ally, and so I'm still going to thank you for your service. I know that just seems weird and trite, but I didn't serve, and so the only thing I have to do is appreciate those that did serve. So thank you so much, my friend.
You know, for a long time, I always used to be very I used to get uncomfortable when people would say that, mainly because I didn't know how to respond. And
I understand.
I was actually discussing this on a live stream. Someone in the last 6 months, I don't know what stream and who I was on with, but it kind of came up in conversation. And then there was a veteran in the chat, and now that I learned from him, and I wish I could credit the individual's name, but I don't remember who it was. Now that I have this response that I learned from him, I don't feel as, because I never wanted to say, like, you know, you're welcome or whatever.
Yeah.
My response now, when people say, you know, thank you for your service, my response is very simply, I was happy to serve.
You know what? Amen. I can't imagine a better response. I have had people that know me point out to me, because my mom cared about somebody who served in Vietnam. My dad served in Vietnam. So growing up in grade school, whenever a conflict would come up, we would have these drives or whatever. We'd put together care packages for the boys in service and whatnot. And screw you guys if you guys are going to give me shit about being sexist. Back in the day, it was our boys. You know, the girls didn't start, you know, serving the same way until very recently. But, somebody pointed out to me, somebody who served pointed out to me, give yourself some grace. You are serving in your own way because you're supporting us. You sent us packages. You sent us. You cared. You thanked us, and you supported. We need that support in order to do what we do. Yeah. And I burst into tears when he said that to me. Anyway, sorry, Tony. Thank you. That's what I'm getting to. Thank you. I just want you to know how genuine it is. Tony, what what do you have coming up? I mean, I know, but maybe not all of my listeners know. What do you got coming up in the next weeks and months?
Well, I've been working on a video for probably about 3 weeks now, about the G.I. Joe classified Big Ben figure, who is he is a British SAS soldier. So I wanted to approach this review from a very different perspective, not the way that everyone else reviews figures where they talk about sculpting, packaging, articulation, all of that stuff. I wanted to approach this from the perspective of an SAS veteran going, did they get this right? Did they get the clothing right, the equipment right? And
here. I did that, yeah.
I finally finished the video late last night. I posted it to Patreon, and it will be going public on YouTube whenever I wake up tomorrow morning. So it's most likely going to be around 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. For American audiences, that video will go public. It's almost 30 minutes long, but I'm very proud of it. The feedback on Patreon has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting that video out and seeing the response from the audience. I think it's one of the funnier videos I've done. There's quite a few jokes laden in there, but with a lot of it's educational as well. So beyond that, you talked about Mego superheroes a while ago. I'm working on a Mego superhero video as well.
Oh, I had so many of them. And then I gave them to my brother. My brother was 6 years younger than me, very autistic. They didn't survive, but he enjoyed them, and that's all that really matters. Yeah. And I've been slowly replacing them over time, but yeah. KBA is saying the Big Ben video is great. As I told you back in the green room, I've got it in my queue for Patreon, but I may not even get around to it until you release it on regular YouTube. Doesn't matter, because if I were to watch it after this, I wouldn't retain any of it because I'm so pissed. I really am. I'm fucked up, man. And it's a good thing because I think I earned it this week. Yeah, no, Tony, you do great work, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you said it on my stream. You said you'd come back, so I'm gonna give you time, but I will have you back because I do want to talk more about. I want to talk more about Valaverse. I want to talk more about the Desert Rat. I want to talk more about, because those things are important. We need to promote those. Even if I'm not the target audience, I want to get as many people as I can with eyes on that, if I can help out in any way that I can. Tell Bobby that even people that aren't buying it are trying to support him in any way they can. I
will. I'll let him know.
But yeah, I missed out on this last Joe Fest. If you come back, I'm there. And Netter and my buddy Skipper Ken are want me to go to Joe Fest. I told them, next time Tony comes into the States, I'll be there. So that's when we got a plan to be there. So,
all right, well, maybe 2025, maybe.
I'm looking at 20. That's good. That gives me some time to plan. I'm glad. In a way, I'm almost glad you're not coming back next year because it gives me time. Amen. But real quick, anything else you wanted to promote before I go around the world here?
Yeah, I would like to promote this this channel that I really enjoy called Last Call with Troy Pacelli. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button.
I mean, I'm not going to complain, folks. Those of you that came here for Tony, he said, I'm not gonna push you, but Tony's saying it, so there must be something in it, right?
Well,
thanks.
I mean, you jumped up a few subscribers tonight, so that's good.
Have I really? Where am I at, Netter? Let me know.
But yeah, at least 5 or 6 people. So.
You're at 655.
Yeah, that's 5. That's 5 from the time we started. Yeah, it can be really frustrating for a small channel because you gain 5, you lose at least 3 or 4. And I'm serious about that. The YouTubers will tell you, check and make sure you're still subscribed. watch this. Just for funsies. Those of you that subscribed tonight, the 5 of you that subscribed, come back to my channel in 48 hours and see if you're still subscribed. I'll bet you half of you aren't.
Yeah, YouTube does these purges every now and again, and so I just crossed 58,000 yesterday. But if they did a purge today, I could have woken up this morning and been back down to 57,900 or something like that. Yeah, they do it every couple of months. So
it's crazy, and this is why you may not even realize, because I didn't know when I'd listen to my favorite YouTubers who would say, check and make sure you're still subscribed, hit that notification bell, whatever. I now understand why they're doing that, because YouTube does unsubscribe you, especially in the first 48 hours. And if you don't say, yeah, not only am I subscribing, but I want to see more of this person's videos, they will unsubscribe you. They think you're a bot or something.
Wow.
It's because, if it's a onesie and twosie that you get new subscribers, they don't mind. But when you get a sudden influx of 5, 10, 15, that seems like a lot to them, and they start thinking bots. That's how this...
Look at Tommy's comment.
Guinea Pig Collective. The way to beat that is subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again. It's crazy. If Tommy says it, there's probably something to that. I'm not going to ask you all to put that much effort in, but I'm going to say do that for all your favorite YouTubers at least. Dude, I didn't even realize after 6 months of hardcore watching every single one of Michael French's videos, I went to send him an email, come to find out I wasn't subscribed to him. Damn it, I friggin' was subscribed to him. And YouTube friggin' unsubscribed me. I know it. So it's absolutely real. So, Tony, yeah, and I'll send you a DM. We'll work on a time. I'll give you some breathing room before you gotta think about, I gotta go back on Troy's channel again because I said I would. But
happy to return.
You're a good man. I don't want to keep you from your family any longer than necessary. Same with you, Aged Boomer. I know you've got to work tomorrow, but Aged Boomer, well, should I just go into the regular?
Sure. Tomorrow night.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm calling it up because I had to reboot. So
tomorrow night is, I believe, Netters Network, and you're watching Casper. Is that right?
Yep.
That's right. And I do have the link, so I can actually drop that now that I called it up. So yeah, we will be doing a rewatch of Casper from 1995 on Netters Network. I will be, if you don't have your own copy of it, I will be hosting it on Cosme. The link will be provided in the chat. But I do encourage you to get your own physical copy because it's actually a better movie than you might actually think. We're going to be talking about it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's tomorrow night on Netters Network. I hope you guys are all subscribed. Sunday's the big night, though, Aged Boomer. What are we doing on Sunday? Starting at...
it starts with the pre-show with deleted scenes.
7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Yes, and I'm not sure what his subject is. Did he have a thing up on that?
But he the name of it is A Different Path. That's the thing about his... He gives you a title, and it's cryptic. It's cryptic. That's what's fun.
Remember on Buffy when Xander said, that sounds cryptic. Cryptic means someone's going to get hurt. That person's usually me.
That is actually true on Buffy, but on Deleted Scenes channel, it's just fun to try and guess what it's going to be about. Tune in to find out. But Deleted Scenes is kind of the pre-show to Geeky Geezers.
Yes.
So that is at... I didn't put the times in. That's
9 Eastern,
8 Central.
Is it Central Standard Time or is it something else?
I don't know. Okay. I hate the fact that we fluctuate every 6 months, forward and back. It's like I lose an hour, I gain an hour. I don't get enough sleep as it is, damn it. Yes. So, wait a minute. Tony, do you guys do that in Australia where, at the season change, you go forward an hour, and that 6 months out, you guys are so much smarter than the friggin' Americans.
Well, In certain states they do over in the eastern states, but here in Western Australia we don't do it. So it's
good
always
on you,
confusing.
mate.
Every time that your clocks change in America, I always turn up either really early for a 3 PLA or really late for a 2 PLA. Because the guys never tell me that your clocks change, and then
I have the same problem here. Before the coof hit, when we had our D&D games here, I forgot to put my clock back behind the bar, so we'd be sitting here playing D&D, and they'd look up and they'd go, "Holy shit! What time is it?" No! I forgot to put my clock back. We're okay, stuff like that. Anyway, so that's geeky. What are we going to be talking about, Agent Boomer, tomorrow night?
We're finally going to have to throw our 2 cents in on the Snow White controversy because it's been all over the news. And
we're going to talk about that bitch's friggin' verbal diarrhea.
Anyway, also the
Brie Larson 2.0 for crying out loud.
The new trailer for the documentary about all the fake Bruce Lees. That should be funny.
That's going to be fun. And so I guess our fans ought to be able to guess what our good old days is going to be about.
Bruce Lee.
We may pull in Netter on the good old days tomorrow. She's a big Bruce Lee fan, so
we'll bring her on Sunday. Sure.
Good. And then, of course, by all means, get back over to deleted scenes for after midnight. Well, after midnight Eastern time, an hour before midnight here in the central region. I'm sorry, I don't even know what his topic is, but it's low key. It's a great way to end the weekend. Wind down on a Sunday night, Monday morning. Check that out. Deleted Scenes is good people. And dude, do we have anything going on before Netter's Network on Thursday?
No, not that I know of, so no.
Everyone keep Soundtracks with Birdman in your prayers. Yep. He hasn't had a chance to go in for his surgery yet, but he's still in pain and he's still having a hard time. So make sure you subscribe to Soundtracks with Birdman. But Thursday, Netter's Network. Who's your guest, Netter's Network?
It'll be our D&D game.
Our D&D game. CK from our D&D game. Longest running superhero RPG in the world or whatever it is. And we'll talk about all his channels. He's good people. He shares what he's doing in his role-playing games in story format. Good stuff. So that is and then I don't know what I'm going to be talking about next week. We'll figure it out. We'll get together over drinks. We'll have some fun because that is what we do. Tony, thank you so much for being here. Do you got any last words for everybody before we end this?
No.
That's fair. We'll have you back and
for part 2.
For part 2 of the Analog Toys stream. Tony, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan, and you've done me a real solid service. Thank you so much. Agent Boomer, any last thoughts before we end it?
No, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Tony, for coming on our stream. This is a big deal.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've talked you up so much. Agent Boomer's been kind of looking forward to meeting you. Yeah. And Netter. Well, wait a minute. Before we get to Netter, I just want to thank everybody who's in the chat, who's still here, especially those that I didn't get around to saying hi to. When I sober up, I'm going to rewatch this stream and catch up on all the comments that I missed. Thank you so much for being here. Luddites Are Us and Fenrir Fire and so many that Tony brought out that I haven't seen in my chat before. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me tonight, and I hope you come back in the future. Thanks for being here. Netter, you want to take us out?
Sure, but before I do that, I want to thank those who subbed to me tonight.
Yeah, she got a bunch of subs too. Thank you, Tony, for that too, and all of you that subscribed to her.
And I'm only 5 away from 275, so yeah, I'm a tiny channel. But
what happens when you...
Now, I'm breaking from my norm, because usually it's when I hit a milestone, like 200, 300, whatever. So, at 275, I'm going to have a raffle. It's actually going to be a trivia stream.
Those of you that follow her streams, follow my streams, kind of know us. It's going to be do you know Troy and Netter type trivia. Check it out.
Yeah.
Like a this is your life sort of thing.
How long have we been married? When's our anniversary? When was
see.
That kind of stuff.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Things that we actually have mentioned on streams.
Or just, things like, what was Troy's first vid? Things like that. Although that's not
Fuck if I even remember.
But that said,
yeah.
Like I said, I do want to thank everyone that subbed to me, and if anyone hasn't, I'd appreciate the sub, because I have subbed to everybody in the chat, and please do make sure that...
And let's face it, guys, she's pretty. She's fun to look at.
Make sure you do sub to everyone in the chat, and then check back later and make sure you're still subbed, because together we grow.
Absolutely.
That said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun, but it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat.
Yeah.
And you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, acting goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases.
Yeah.
It feels like we're all in the same room, just hanging out and having a great time. And you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much. You can be anywhere right now and you choose to be here with us, and that is so encouraging. So thank you so much for being here, and we will definitely see you next time.
Absolutely. And as always, ditto everything that she said.
One more thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hijacking your stream here for a
No,
second.
this is fine.
I'm always looking for guests for my Thursday Things stream. It's only an hour-long show, so it's pretty short, and it's pretty much just talking about you.
She promotes other YouTube streams. So if you guys got a YouTube stream that you want to promote, definitely reach out to her.
Yeah, my only requirements is that you have a YouTube channel.
Makes sense.
And you have your own content on there. You're not just filling up your channel with, music videos or something. But it's actually your content that you want to help, get out there and grow your channel. I am on Twitter. It's Netters Network. No apostrophe in Netters. No space between Netters and Network. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Send me a DM.
Yeah, she's a huge cheerleader. So definitely reach out to her if you're trying to promote a channel. Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank you so much, especially everybody. I appreciate all the regulars. I appreciate all the new people that stopped in. Tony, I thank you so much. Everybody that's in the panel here, stay with me. We'll say our goodbyes in the background, but everybody, when I sober up, I will check out the comments, and I will appreciate everything you guys said. You guys are so encouraging, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you later.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sir. Hit it, sweetheart.